Okay, on the RSN television, Abuja, Nigeria, I am Khadija Oluwatoyin Amin. You know how we do it on the program, we bring to you topical issues and then we dissect them, highlighting the possible solutions to each problem as we discuss on the program. This week we shall be looking at wildlife management, and to discuss that with us is an associate professor from the University of Abuja in the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture and Wildlife. He's the person of Associate Professor Aberdeen Abiodun Alaric. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Oh no, this one right there.
Sorry, I don't know.
Don't put this in my head again.
Yes, no. It's a light.
Shoko, please, not worry,
It's
disturbing
okay.
you. Okay.
Alright. See us tomorrow.
Well, I don't know what we'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir. Welcome to the program once again.
Thank you.
When we say wildlife, some of us what we see as wildlife is having the lion, those are the only thing we understand to be wildlife. First, what is wildlife?
Well, you started where I used to start with my students. And that is the thoughts of what wildlife is all about. The big animals, the lions of this world, the tiger, and the likes, the elephant and whatever. But if we look at the meaning of wildlife itself, you may be surprised. Wildlife has to do with all animals that are not under the direct control of man. And when you talk of direct control, there are three harms to it. One, you are not the one responsible for the feeding of the animal. You are not the one responsible for the movement of the animal. You are not in control of the reproduction of the animal. The moment all those three are out of your hand, then that animal is a wildlife species. So by implication, the mosquito in your room is wildlife. The wall gecko in your room is wildlife. The cockroach in your room is wildlife. Otherwise, you will not allow the cockroach to reproduce. You won't allow the mosquito to be fed if you are the one responsible for the feeding. So, the moment those three are out of your hand, they constitute wildlife.
So, what is this wildlife management?
Now, when you talk of wildlife management, we are talking of the application of ecological knowledge. Because wildlife management is premised on ecology. The application of ecological knowledge to the populations of these animals and their plants and other animal associates in such a manner to strike a balance between the needs of those populations and the needs of man. So you want to strike a balance between the two for the benefits of man. Meaning that we will use them, but we utilize them at a level that will not be detrimental to their growth. While we use them for our benefit, we must be concerned about the sustainability of their own populations too, such that what we have, we will be able to hand it over to the next generation and the next to the next, and they will be there in perpetuity for humanity.
Okay, looking at you've mentioned some animals that I would never in my wild dreams say that they are wild animals. You talked about the wall geckos,
Yes.
you talked about the mosquitoes, the cockroaches, and the rest of it. Knowing that some of these animals are harmful, why do we still, embark in having knowledge about this and not allowing them go extinct?
Good. You have used that magic word, extinction. God, in His wisdom, created all being for a purpose. And our understanding of ecology makes us to know that there's what we call a food chain. Then you also have what is called a food web. A food web comprises of so many food chains. The plants generate the food from the sun. That's why they are photosynthetic. They synthesize the food from the energy that comes from the sun. And the herbivores will feed on them. Then the carnivores will feed on the herbivores. The man will also ultimately feed on them. When you tamper with the food chain, you are tampering with so many aspects in the environment because they go into a web. So anything you do to one affects all others. So what you think is irrelevant is actually making what is relevant useful. So all of them serve a particular function within the web. So if you break the link at a point, then you are creating problem before the link and after the link. So but there is a way we can all live harmoniously. The wildlife will live their own, we human beings will live our own. Because if you remove them, like I used to tell my students in the class again, I would say, well, snakes are, is responsible for so many deaths. But if you ask, if we decided on killing all the snakes in the country, we will not be able to live in the country. Because the population of rats will shoot up to an extent that we will not be able to live. The snakes are also responsible for keeping down the population of rats. The little that are disturbing us are the ones that have been kept low. So when you remove, in that chain, you remove the snake, then you are giving room for another part of the chain to rise beyond normal. Then you are going to have an excessive population of such, and you have a problem. For some time now, we've never had this, outbreak of locusts that the Yorubas will call issue. They will go into farms and finish the farm overnight because they come in millions. Tiny, locusts like that. But the birds that we may just think are just singing all around us or whatever, the lizards and the likes, they are the ones keeping down that population. So if they are removed by virtue of destruction of the environment or by virtue of killing them or in whatever form, then we are encouraging a build-up of the population of locusts. Then we're going to have problem. So that is the way they are linked. In our system, we have benevolent organisms. We also have the other one. But if you want to kill, benevolent organisms, the negative ones, you are also killing the positive ones. So if you are killing that, you create problem for the system. So what is important is a balance. The moment there is a balance, then all will be well. That balance is what we are encouraging people to cultivate.
I was coming to that. How do we create this balance? For example, we know that it is very deadly for us to have snakes around the house. We know that it is not healthy and very deadly, or I should say deadlier, to have wall geckos the living area. How, if we do, because it's not how you see these things, and the first push that comes is for you to kill it. How do you manage?
Well, you can manage that with knowledge. When you have your environment taken good care of, you can, with the modification of your environment, keep snakes away. There are plants, ornamental plants that you can put around your house that will keep them away, either by odor or by structure, that will keep the snakes away from your house. Then you can also, the design of the house, the windows and whatever, to ensure that you do not leave space for them to creep in. But even at that, I tell my students in the class again, I'm sorry, I'm a classroom teacher, I tell them, animals are not meant to attack you right away. Hardly will you see a snake coming up front to attack a human being. We have had cases where snakes will enter, live with you inside the house for weeks, and you may not even know. When you are out, the snake will be active. When you are in, the snake will go and hide. It happened to a friend of mine. It was after some weeks that they realized that they were actually living with a snake inside the house. We are the ones that will see and want to kill. They don't see us and want to attack right away. I've been in situations where I saw lions and they never came to us. And it was not as if we were in an enclosed system. We were inside a pickup without, carriage at the back, no cover. We even moved closer to see them better. They got tired of us and they went in. Encounters with wild animals in the wild will tell you that they don't naturally. That is probably the reason why the elders will say there's something built into us by God that makes them to be afraid of us. You see a snake, the next thing is to start running away from you. Are you getting it? A snake will not come towards you. We are the ones that will now pick stick and start running after. So when you start running after the snake, naturally the poor thing will defend itself. So it may now turn to you in defense of their life. Are you getting? Every being wants to defend his own life. So that is where the thing is. So when we make our environment not attractive to them, our home environment not attractive to them, we can keep them away. Then when you are in the wild or you are moving, you also take note of litters, particularly for snakes. You don't just step on built-up lizards. There are so many leaves, dry leaves on the ground, and you just continue to step. If you step on a snake, you cannot blame the snake for striking. But if the animal knows you are coming, by vibration of yourself, it will run away. And that is, justice. So we can do well by keeping them on because we have a lot of benefits we have gotten from them, and we don't even know the benefit that we still have in the offers from them. We have had, let me give you an example. When you go to the hospital, they tell you the rhesus factor.
Yes.
In the blood.
Yes.
Do you know that name is from a monkey? The rhesus monkey. Because this animal was used in the experiment for the benefit we are reaping in the hospital today. The rhesus factor experiment.
Yes.
But this animal dies in thousands for that experiment to be successful. So if that animal was not there to be used for that experiment, where would we be today with the rhesus factor? So it is in the memorial of that snake. The contribution that that monkey has made to human, livelihood. Say, okay, let's give that factor the name of that monkey as an honor. The rhesus factor.
Wow. This is wide opening. Like I said, the program is always one that you get to learn and relearn, you unlearn, on each episode. Let's quickly take a break. When we return, the program continues. Stay tuned. Yes, you've heard it from the horse's mouth. You've been told how important wild animals are to human living. Before now, when you see these wild animals that are common around the home, we're quick to say we want to kill them and the rest of it. We've heard it from our associate prof who said that we should do things that will make them, of course they're harmful, things that will make them, go far away from the home place. You've talked about a handful of I would say home wildlife.
Okay.
Yes. What happens to the wildlife that we all think are wildlife, the lion and the rest of it? How do you manage, and knowing that we have a very few of them, I don't know if we still have them as we used to think we do when we watch our channels like the Geo World and the rest of it. How do one manage in that situation where that first when you see these things is strike?
No, well, the issue is about the level of development of wildlife management in Nigeria, the commitment to it, funding, and the likes, and most importantly, awareness.
Okay.
Because when you are aware of something, the benefits of something, you are likely going to be committed to the development of it.
True.
So the wild animals, we still have a sizable population of species in Nigeria, in the national parks, in the game reserves, forest reserves, and the likes. But we are not promoting them enough. The likes of what is watched on NajoWorld, we can equally produce in Nigeria with our own populations that we have. The only thing is that we've not, been doing that due to, some inadequacies, like I said, in terms of commitment, funding, equipment, and the likes. And again, there's this thought of some professions are key, while some professions are silenced. When parents will pray at the naming ceremony, may our son become a doctor, may our son become a lawyer, and all courses are finished. Every other course is not mentioned. Are you getting it? So, when people are aware, I remember there was a student of ours, the junior brother got to know of it through the senior brother. Could you believe he deliberately came for wildlife management through JAM? Because he got to know some things from his brother, so he got attracted to the course and he came for it. And, he enjoyed it. So wildlife management, dealing with the animals in the wild, the government has done a lot by creating the protected areas. We have 17 national parks as I speak. 10 national parks were added recently by the Buhari regime, making 17. We had 7, then he added 10. Then we have nothing less than 30 game and forest reserves in the country. We also have strict nature reserve, biosphere reserve, and other protected areas. So these animals are there in their natural setting. When I was young, not even knowing I was going into this profession, I used to think there were fences separating those animals. They are there, just in the natural way. The lion is not fenced from the ungulate is not fenced from the tiger. They are all together in that same, and they are living harmoniously. The lion will kill part of them, and they will also replenish the population, and the population continues. The main culprit of the reduction in their population, we have human beings. We are the ones decimating them. Because there's what we call prey-predator relationship. It has never happened that a predator will decimate the population of a prey to the point of extinction that you mentioned the other time. No, it has never happened. When the population of the predator rises, it will continue to feed on the prey until it reduces to a level that it becomes difficult to catch. Because they are now few, so the predator will not have problems catching them. They also will fine-tune escape methods. So at the end of the day, the population of predator will crash. So as the population of predator crashes, their whole population will build up. So it's like this nursery swing. Somebody is seated there, somebody is seated there. When this person is up, this person is down. When this person is up, this person is down. So when the prey goes up, the predator is definitely down. When the population of predator rises, the population of prey must have been low. So, and that continues in perpetuity. So, the balance is not a problem in nature. We are the ones that goes in to create that problem, because the animals cannot escape our bullets, they cannot escape our destruction of the environment, and all that fragmentation of the environment. So our own trust now is for people to know that they are useful to us. We benefit a lot from them. If you read leaflets inside drugs, you also see their contribution there. Pregnant women should not take this drug because it has been responsible for miscarriage in rats. Meaning that rats have suffered for them to know the effect it's going to have on pregnancy. So that human beings with, who are pregnant will not have that problem. Sometimes they tell you somebody with ulcer should not take this drug. Deliberately, they induce ulcer in rats and give the drug to see whether it's going to aggravate that ulcer or not. So if it aggravates it, then you now tell human beings that have ulcer not to take the drug. But who is suffering? The rats. For us to have the benefit. So, but we don't know what is still left in them for the future. And that is why we have to keep them.
Okay, looking at how it is, how do we make this course attractive to youth? Because if you look at it, it's interesting the way you've been, carrying us along and the rest. But peripherally talking to a young person to come and read this course, they just feel like, you said it yourself just now. Even in naming ceremonies, and it's typical of every parent to say, I want to have a doctor, I want to have a lawyer, I want an engineer, blah, 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 and the rest. What do we do to make this course attractive?
Well, I said the other time, it's an enlightenment campaign. I mentioned that awareness is very key. It's what you know that you take interest in. It's what you know that you adopt. So, my department, where I started my academic profession, that is, Department of Wildlife and Ecotourism Management, University of Ibadan, is starting a program along that line. In fact, we have started. And how do? We relate with secondary school students, bring them to the campus, treat them, to sumptuous meal, give them, lectures on wildlife management, and in a way, let them. Then we also decided that we're going to have conservation clubs for these secondary schools. So through that, you get them to be aware of so many things. A lot of them do not even know there is a link between Nat Wild and the discipline. And so many of them are interested in, watching Nat Wild. So if you are able to link the two together, then in actual fact, you could be, involved in this profession, and you could be one producing these beautiful films that people are interested in, all over the world. And it's a profession. And you have a lot of opportunities, you can have when you are an expert in that discipline.
Okay, yes, sir. I think time is not going to really permit us. There is still more to talk about wildlife management in the sense that looking at the university setting, how are you able to do your practicals, how are you able to manage these animals and the rest of it. We'll leave this as part 2 of the program. Thank you for joining us on today's episode, sir.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, like I said, you stick to the station. We're going to be, taking a part 2 of this topic as wildlife management is all encompassing, and then we cannot finish it just in one episode. Join us again, same time, same station next week. It is Agric today on ARCN Television, Abuja, Nigeria, and I am Khadija. Saying thank you for joining.